Good morning. I'm excited about what God is going to do today at the gathering. We have special guest singers and a minister, and we are expecting the Holy Spirit to meet with us in a very special way. If you don't have a place to worship, come and join us at Victory Chapel of Live Oak this morning at 10:30. Our reading today is found in Genesis chapters 43 through 45. In it, we find that Joseph tests his brothers several times by accusing them of different things, being spies and stealing. He forces them to bring Benjamin, his younger brother, by his mother Rachel, and he watches as they grieve over what he's done to Joseph. Finally, Joseph reveals his identity to his brothers, and after 20 years, they embrace in tears. Let's read at that point what Joseph has to say. In chapters 45, verses 4 through 8, it says, "And Joseph said to his brothers, 'Please come near to me.' So they came near, and then he said, 'I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But now, do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years the famine has been in the land, and there are still 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. And God sent me before you to preserve a posterity for you in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you who sent me here, but God. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt.'" Imagine looking at the men who had sold you into slavery. You've been in slavery for almost 13 years. And they told the world that you were dead, and telling them, "Don't be grieved or angry with yourselves. You sold me here, but God sent me here to preserve your posterity upon the earth." You see, Joseph wasn't chosen to carry forth the lineage of Abraham. Joseph wasn't chosen to save that lineage he was chosen to save that lineage from extinction. You see, Joseph was chosen to preserve the lives of the men who had despised him and sold him into slavery. You may not have been chosen to be the pastor or the evangelist or the prophet, but the work of God that has been appointed to you is just as important. You may be the one that holds up the hands of the servant of God. You may be the Aaron to Moses, the Jonathan to David, or the Timothy to Paul. But know this, God has a purpose and a calling on your life. Trust him. Joseph told his brothers, "It was not you that sent me here, but God." I'm sure that during the 13 years as a slave and in prison, there were times that he might have questioned that. But it was his faith in God that sustained him, and faith in God that molded him and made him what he was. And it was faith that allowed him to see through the betrayal and the trials and know that God was working in his life. And you can know that God is working in your life. No matter what your circumstance, no matter what you're going through, no matter where you are, God is there. Be blessed today and have a great day in the Lord.